Welcome to Realty Real Talk. I am Ashley O'Borney, realtor with Coldwell Banker NHS Real Estate, NHS Commercial. I'm a host, and here's Tyler, the other host.
Yeah, Tyler with NHS Commercial and Coldwell Banker NHS Real Estate as well.
Our guest today, sorry I cut you off.
No, you're good.
Keep it rolling. Our guest today is Andy Ponce. Hi.
Hello.
Peak Design Builders.
Peak Design Builders, yes.
So I want to just start off with, a lot of the people obviously watching this that are in the community know of Peak Design Builders for your residential custom builds. So this will be a fun podcast talking about your other venture now into commercial real estate. So tell everyone how long you've been in the real estate realm with building and how it morphed into commercial world.
Sure. So I'm going to start out from the beginning. So it's interesting because when I was in college, I started working for a developer in construction. I was pushing the broom a lot. So I just did a lot of that. And as I was getting into my engineering degree, I got, obviously once I graduated, I left, and then I went to consulting. And then my first project out of when I was working on my own was an apartment building. So it was like we just kind of drove straight into it. And then that's where I kind of learned my first commercial building. And then we just kind of, Jeremy, my co-founder of Peak Design Builders, we decided to start the home building. And then we spent 4 years approximately building our brand, doing custom homes, spec homes. And yeah, like you said, everybody knows us generally Peak Design Builders as residential. And it's fun. It's been interesting though, because now as I transition to commercial, I'm like the new kid on the block again.
Oh yeah. Who's this guy?
Where are you? Peak Design Builders. What do you do? Kind of a thing. And so it's like starting new. It's just so it's fun.
Yeah.
As you're, although I'm not new to the construction world, I'm new to the commercial environment and, kind of that group.
I imagine there are lots of different moving parts for like regulations. We were chatting a little bit about the insurance world on commercial.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know sometimes insurance is boring, but I thought some of it was interesting. You were saying they have a lot more regulations that they're looking over when you're going into build.
Yeah. So like when we first started the insurance, obviously you have to get insurance, builder's risk insurance for your build. And it's been interesting to see because anybody who's in construction, any builder, GC knows the pain of theft and the pain of, like someone doesn't follow your, or OSHA regulations and a lot of hazards there. So it's been interesting because this new build that we're doing now, this multifamily here, and the insurance company have become their own OSHA company. So they're actually sending out agents to make sure that you're following their requirements that they want from you in order for them to insure your building. So like they're now requiring you, not all, but some are requiring you to have video monitoring systems on the site.
That's a requirement.
Yeah, a requirement. So you have to have cameras.
At what point during the building stage is that you have to have those up?
Immediately.
Oh, wow.
So like obviously that adds cost, but yeah, you have video cameras, heat. They want motion sensors. And when you think of motion sensor, you think, motion sensors, the light. No, they want a motion sensor that will detect heat and people, and then it sends you a notification. So like a real surveillance. You can probably find an insurance company that will require that stuff, but then you're paying the high price. But if you want a good rate, they're saying, okay, we'll give you a good rate, but you have to protect your asset, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They want you to protect it. They want you to do your part rather than just claiming an insurance claim. Hey, we just lost a bunch of stuff.
I assume this all came about because there's just a ton of theft on commercial sites, which is wild.
I think, so it's kind of evolving. You're watching, and a lot of it makes sense, but, it does add to your costs, obviously, of the build. So it's just, you're just kind of have to roll with it now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun because, you want the cameras, but now it's like required. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they work. We have cameras now in some of the residential projects, and they work very well. But on the bigger projects, there's a lot of,
Yeah, how many cameras do you have to have? I know.
They didn't
I
give
know,
you
permit.
yeah, they didn't give you a requirement, but it's really interesting to see how people try to work their way around the cameras
Yeah.
and the sensors and there's just a lot of little things that they want us to do, which yeah, I mean it's a
Yeah.
requirement. So yeah, we're just
Yeah.
have to get it done.
So you said multifamily. What projects do you guys have going on right now? Where are they at, and what are you working on?
So I'll kind of explain. Yeah, like I said, we kind of went from residential to commercial. I was excited to do that because, like I said, I actually we were on vacation and one of my wife Stephanie's friends made a comment of, "Hey, you guys have this experience of building apartments. That's something that a lot of people don't have." And it just I thought about that. I'm like, man, why am I not utilizing kind of a skill that maybe, and not saying nobody else can do it, but that maybe not a lot of people have that background. When
She planted the seed.
Yes, she did. She did. And I was like, interesting. So I knew of a project that was coming up and I actually gave a proposal. I was like, hey, like, would you be interested on hiring us? Obviously like they were not looking. And my proposal was good enough where they accepted. And then once they accepted that, then they wanted us to help on one that was currently in the works, or that was currently under construction over on 29th and Pine Lake. It's called 29 South. Flats. If you guys,
Oh yeah.
if you guys need an apartment, go check it out.
The flats. Advertisement.
Slide flat. So we have those two complexes going on now, and that's how once we got those big projects, we just kind of dove into there. Sorry, what was your original?
Well, I don't remember, but now I'm thinking of some more. So how many units are in like one that you're working on, and how long does it take? Because I mean, I think about a residential build, it can be like 6 to 8 months. Like, what's a commercial project? How long does that take?
So a commercial project typically takes. It's a little bit different. So especially in multifamily, when these developers, owners are putting a lot of money into these projects. I mean, each project alone is over 20 million per project. Ooh. So like when they're putting these projects, they want speed, even though it takes a long time. So you do it in a phase where you can build it and then open it for the public while you're still finishing it.
Oh.
So typically you can try to finish or open a project in a year and a half to 2 years. And then, try to finish it fully by the third year.
Wow.
And it's a different world because, you're in a residential, you can build the houses fairly quickly. The permitting process takes even longer. So you typically are designing multifamily at least a year in advance, even longer sometimes because the permitting take 3-6 months.
Wow.
Alone just to get your permit to even start. So,
sure. So you're kind of in a lot of living quarters. I mean, and multifamily, obviously residential stuff.
Yeah.
Any hopes and dreams to expand into office spaces, things like that, or?
Definitely. You're definitely like I said, our first project were these two big complexes. Where we're like, this is a kind of opportunity of a lifetime, honestly. Especially as a new, GC in the commercial world. But I would love to get into. Like I said, my partner. Jeremy was doing commercial, and we would love to get into that once we can build our team right, because you gotta have the right people, and you gotta there's just a lot more. There's just a lot different than residential. A lot more rules. Like the way I think about it is when you're building a house, you're building kind of a private area. When you're building commercial, you're building for the public and the safety of the public.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So although commercial tenant may want something, you have to say, well, your code only allows X or Y. So I would love to get into that, and hopefully we can get some more clients. It's just slowly building our
building your team. We've been really going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then I have a question on that with your team. I mean, obviously you had built quite a crew with the residential. So are you utilizing some of those people, or is it like you got to go find all new?
Well, it's kind of a mind shift of like I said, you're going from residential of like design and like I don't want to say fashion, but it's a different type of mindset when you go into commercial. it's definitely more, your equipment that you're using are a lot more heavy duty, I guess, if you will. So yeah, you're looking for operators, people that can, operate, forklifts, bobcats, things like that. Not that you don't in residential, but as a builder, you typically don't have a lot of that equipment that you need around here. Yeah, you just have to build a team that has that kind of experience. Like the doorways are just different, metal frames versus just your wood frames.
Sure.
So there's little things like that
It's probably more cost driven more than looks driven, I guess.
Yeah. It's more about functionality and like I said, safety for the public. So everything is by code, fire rated. Like multifamily, you're dealing with like the fire marshals. You're dealing with at the state level, kind of inspections versus residential is more local government policies.
So if you're doing like an apartment complex, how many people are on your crew for that? I mean, is it like you've got 10, you've got 20? I'm just throwing stuff out because I'm like imagining.
No, I mean you can run a project fairly easily if you have the right crew with a group of 4 or 5 guys just helping you run the project. But obviously then you have your subcontractors that
do all
that do all the other stuff. But like right now I think we have somewhere around 6 or 7 in one building, but we're trying to push that one to the finish line. The one we took over on 29 South, and the other one that we're starting is over here in the Woodlands at Yankee Hill. It'll be this will be fun because this is actually a 4-story building with underground parking, so it's technically 5, I guess. This will be a little bit bigger, so a lot more units. I think you had asked me before how many units. So it depends on how many floors, but I think each building that we're doing now is somewhere like 54 per building, and then this next one will be one more floor, another 60, 70, something like that.
Do they fill up pretty fast?
Generally, yeah.
That's wild.
They actually pretty quick. So like when we were wrapping up the first building on 29 South, the property managers were actually renting them so quickly that we had to slow them down a little bit and be like, hey, pause. Unfortunately,
a good problem.
Yeah, good problem to have. But unfortunately, when we paused them to kind of get caught up, we hit the winter, and then the winter is obviously the slow leasing season. We're excited because we're going to get everything wrapped up. So the spring, they should have their hands pretty full.
Yeah.
You're kind of involved a little bit on the property management side too, from my understanding.
Yes. Yeah. So, so it kind of all ties in. It's been, that's why, apartments has been fun because we are involved in property management. We have our own, investment properties and townhome communities and apartments. So when I build these apartments for other people, I can kind of give them my point of view of even the residential side. Like, you're involved with people. Like for 4 years, I spent time learning how people live in their space, like how they use their kitchen, how they come home and relax. So you can try to like apply some of those on some of these apartments, because it feels so like a commercial space that you try to make it a little bit more homey for them. So, and, like little things like trash can pullouts in cabinets, it seems very minor, but like if you can put that in an apartment building, it's actually a big deal for them. Like it's a cool little feature that they have. And it feels more home than it does as an apartment.
Do you probably have like lobby areas? I think back to like my apartment that I lived in Lincoln. I mean, there was no sort of fancy lobby area, but are these like ones where they can go and like kind of hang out? And, like, want to?
Yeah. So like they have like lounges, and then they have they have like pool tables. What's the one with the sand?
Shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard. Yeah. There's one they have with the shuffleboard. Cool. Yeah. So they try to make them fun so they can come, down and relax. And on the property management side, so when I turn over a unit for the property manager, I say, okay, this is done. My property manager hat turns on and be like, okay, what are the tenants going to complain? What are the most things that I hear people, complain about? So I try to check all those boxes so that way when I turn it over, hopefully it's 100%. And the property manager doesn't call me back.
Yeah.
Kind of nice being able to give, a potential investor or developer the other side of it of, hey, I already know this because, I'm involved in it on the day to day.
Yeah.
I know what problems come up. I know what people are looking for because I look for the same thing personally.
Yeah. So Yeah, so yeah, it's a very common how they use it. Like it seems weird, but yeah, tenants use their their property just differently than a homeowner. So you just kind of know where you should be careful. Like, okay, make sure this is extra strong because they're pulling their towels off.
Yeah.
Versus at home, you're probably a little more gentle with stuff. So there's just little things that you try to give them advice on, and obviously most developers know because they have their own properties. But it's just nice to at least if you catch something,
make a suggestion. Yeah. So before we wrap up, I wanted to talk a little bit about like the bid process. If someone was listening and was interested in a large investment project in commercial, what's kind of the first step when they come to you? Like walk us through if someone's like, hey, I want to build an apartment building. What do I do, Andy?
Well, it's a little bit different than residential. You're like, hey, I want to build a house, and then you're like, oh, here's the floor plan. No, there's different ways you build these. A lot of times that we've been involved with, the developers already have their plans, and they've kind of they've done their homework already, and then they kind of bid it out to people and say, hey, we're interested on this complex. So then you take your plans and you have to do a takeoff, and then it's a long process. It's not like a quick, hey, I'll have it in a week. You send it out for bids. Are you interested? Your drywall or your tile guy, whatever. You try to put it all together, and you use a lot of your experience, kind of past projects, so you can help put together a budget. Like, hey, this is about how much it's going to cost. This is how long it's going to take, and then usually go from there. So if you're building an apartment, it's a long process.
No, like get a pre-approval. Let's go.
No, not typically. But the biggest, I think, if if you haven't done a commercial or a multifamily, it takes a long time. The planning is way further ahead than you do in residential. It just takes months, and sometimes even years to design and get approved. You would hate to like say, hey, here's a bid this, but you haven't have that approval of that plan yet, because then it'll change, and then it'll change your price, and then it'll change your financing. So it's just a little bit longer process. Looking
into 2024, how are you? I know you've got these few projects going on right now. Are you open to bringing on a lot more commercial business this year?
Yeah. So like I said, we're so our goal this year is to finish by the summer our 29 South project, and then that will open up kind of more availability. So I'll be a little more aggressive of reaching out and trying to get bids and market, and I hopefully, like I said, we're blessed to be able to take on these big projects. So like being the new kid on the block and having these big projects that I'm working on is it's a blessing, because then you can kind of prove it. To me, these next probably 6 months are I have to prove myself and be able to show my product and show that I can do it. So that way, people are comfortable in investing their time and money with me.
So while we wrap up, how can people get a hold of you, and how can they see? I think you do a great job of marketing your projects that are going on. So I guess tell everyone how they can view some of the stuff you have going on.
So you can follow us on social media. I try to be as active as possible. Peak Design Builders. We have peakdesignbuilders.com. Obviously, you can check there, and we have a lot of our custom work that we've done in residential there. But yeah, you just follow us. I try to post at least a story here and there of the process, especially people that have never built an underground parking garage or something like that. Just post a little snapshot of it, and they can follow us or reach out to us on peakdesignbuilders.com. There's like a contact us. Yeah.
And then phone number? Or do you want to give that?
Yeah, I don't have a. I have only on my phone. Right
okay, maybe we'll just keep that under wraps. They can contact you on the website.
They contact me on my website. Contact me on my website, and then eventually I'll get an office number, so that way, because the cell phone, it was a requirement because in residential, your clients worked, they worked all day, and then that night they they came home and they finally were able to text you. So then I had to have my phone. So I would give it out. But now I'm trying to like delete.
It's so funny. Then there's us realtors who are like, my number is 402.
I tried to delete the history, but it's still in the interwebs that you just don't know. It's still in there somewhere. So I'm sure you could find it if you really wanted to.
We'll throw it out for that one. Well, thank you for joining us. I learned a lot.
Thank you. I hope it wasn't too boring.
I probably asked some dumb questions.
I'm the nerdy one of the peak design builders group.
Engineer background.
Yeah.
Engineering. So, well, thanks everyone for listening to Realty Real Talk, and that's a wrap.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you guys.